I'm Frane Divnic. I was born in Šibenik in 1607 to a respected patrician family, and I worked as a city magistrate and envoy. At the age of 45, very soon after some turbulent events which forever set the fate and future of my city, I began to lose my sight, and soon I became entirely blind. I recorded the events that I had witnessed prior to losing my vision in great detail, leaving them for posterity. Besides my public service, I was committed to recording history and archaeology, and I consider these works my most valuable legacy. Our Šibenik is the oldest genuine Croatian city on the Adriatic coast. It is situated in a naturally protected harbour in the heart of the eastern Adriatic seaboard. It emerged as an early Croatian fortification, first mentioned in the year 1066 in a document issued by the most important ruler of the Croatian state, King Petar Krešimir IV. Šibenik was proclaimed a city and the seat of the diocese on the 1st of May 1298 in a papal bull issued by Pope Boniface VIII. During my lifetime, Šibenik had as many as 10,000 residents, and it was the largest city in Dalmatia. The central city square was the hub of public and social life. The most important examples of Šibenik's architecture are located around the square: St. James's Cathedral, the City Hall, the small loggia, the palaces of the rector and bishop, and numerous stone manor houses of local patricians. My city was under Venetian rule in the 17th century. In terms of its culture and economy, lifestyle, architecture, and internal secular and clerical organization, Šibenik was much like the other cities of Mediterranean civilization. This was reflected in the city's natives, who dressed in line with the prevailing European fashions. The city's population was divided into nobles and commoners. The city was headed by the rector, elected by the Venetian authorities at the time, while many officials worked in the civil service, which controlled the operations and stability of the city and its citizens. The military contingent stationed in the city fortifications maintained the peace and security of the population, and it consisted of senior and junior officials and corporals, lancers, artillery, and cavalry troops. The Venetian military consisted mainly of foreign mercenaries, combined with a small number of domestic auxiliary units. There were Frenchmen, Germans, Swiss, Walloons, Englishmen, Irish and Scots here, as well as Dutchmen and Corsicans. There were Italians and we Croats, Albanians and even Greeks, and also Christians who had fled from the Ottoman Empire. Vlachs or Molochs, who were quite insubordinate, but exceptionally brave and fierce warriors. You can imagine how challenging it was to organize so many different men and combat traditions in a unified army.
Presvjetli i preuzvišeni gospodin Girolamo Foscarini, generalni providur u Dalmaciji i Albaniji, daje na znanje svekolikom pučanstvu: neka se nijedan vojnik, kad bude na straži na vratima ili na nekom drugom mjestu, ne usudi uzeti na silu od putnika, niti bilo kojim drugim izgovorom protivnom pravilu, ni najmanju stvar, bilo da su to drva, plodovi ili drugo, pod prijetnjom kazne od 3 godine veslanja na galiji.
my father was still a child when the famed Šibenik galley, the St. George, commanded by Captain Christopher Lucic, set off for the Battle of Lepanto, a battle which played a crucial role in the survival of Christianity in these regions. Unfortunately, neither the galley nor any of its crew ever returned to the city of their birth. At the time, Šibenik's natives were known far and wide as sailors and shipowners, and the city even had its own shipyard. Thanks to the city's robust mercantile spirit and maritime links, I recall the greatest abundance of aromas and colours from the market. From mutton and leather, beef, poultry and fish, through various grains, cheeses, garlic, olives, honey and dried biscuits, to hearty quince jam, oranges, almonds, figs and plums. Wine grapes, olives and vegetables were raised, and there was even a formal vocation known as a gardener, the only one besides a housemaid in which women were recognized.
Evo, pukao je. Pukao je, dobar. Vidimo. Dobro je.
Salt production was particularly significant. Oil, dried fish, spices and fabrics were exported to Bosnia, while grain, meat, cheese, honey, wax and wool were traded from the opposite direction and passed through Šibenik. It was a time when Šibenik prospered after 72 years of peace with the Ottomans. But it was a fragile peace. In 1645, a new war broke out between the Venetian Republic and the Ottoman Empire, known as the Cretan War. Ottoman forces under Sultan Ibrahim I attacked the Venetian holdings on the island of Crete, then known as Candia. The flames of war very rapidly spread across the entire length of the Ottoman-Venetian border, very fiercely engulfing parts of Dalmatia as well. Our neighbours of the Islamic faith, nobles, merchants and peasants who spoke the same language and lived in a similar manner, and who brought their goods to the port of Šibenik and the marketplace in times of peace, now began to brandish their swords and prepare to occupy the city and its surroundings. Only a single fortress, St. Michael, stood on the plateau above Šibenik. The city's residents call it the Old Fortress because the city grew out of it, and it served as the primary defense point of the city, which overlooked the entire Šibenik Channel. Already in 1540, at the first serious signs of the Ottoman peril, the Venetian Republic had the fortress of St. Nicholas built at the entrance to the Šibenik Channel. This served as the main defense against the Ottoman navy. It was such a powerful and well-positioned fortification that the Ottomans did not attempt any attacks whatsoever for the next 100 years. For the purpose of land-based defense against Ottoman attacks from the Šibenik hinterland, and due to the vulnerability of the fortress of St. Michael in 1646, Šibenik natives, despite opposition from the Venetian Senate, began building the fortress of St. John on the peak of a neighbouring hill on their own initiative. Since an Ottoman attack on Šibenik was becoming increasingly imminent, the new commander of the city's defence, Baron von Degenfeld, ordered the construction of yet another fortress a little farther east. Since he personally took charge, the citizens named the fortress Barone in his honour. The fortress was built in compliance with the most recent understandings of military architecture, based on designs drafted by Antonio Leni from Genoa. Since artillery was becoming increasingly vital, instead of narrow and high walls, low and thick bastions filled with earth were built. The construction of both fortresses, St. John and Barone, only lasted 2 months. Addressing the military council in Zadar, which was convened after the Ottoman seizure in Novigrad at the behest of General Leonardo Foscolo, the supreme commander of Venetian forces in Dalmatia, Baron von Degenfeld opposed the idea of withdrawal and vehemently advocated the defense of Šibenik at all costs, using all available forces. He believed that because of its key strategic position, the fall of Šibenik into Ottoman hands would practically cut Venetian Dalmatia in half, and very rapidly lead to the loss of the remainder of Dalmatia. Additionally, the Ottoman possession of the well-protected port of Šibenik and its hinterland, and the transportation route to Bosnia, and their seizure of salt stockpiles, would have been a great blow to the Venetian trade. General Foscolo, who had a high opinion of the Baron, decided to approve this strategy and immediately sent him to Šibenik with military reinforcements. In October 1646, the Bosnian Pasha Ibrahim, emboldened by his military successes that year, attacked Šibenik with a numerically superior army. Reinforced by 2 new fortresses, the city's defense, under Baron von Degenfeld's command, resisted these attacks, and the Ottoman army had to withdraw. However, already in the following year, the Ottomans made another attempt, this time with much greater forces. Wanting to conquer Šibenik at all costs, Pasha Tekieli, with an enormous army of 28,000 men and 10 cannons, arrived before the city walls. Šibenik was defended by 7,500 Venetian troops. Fortunately, by that time the fortress of St. John had already been expanded and fully completed. The Barone fortress had also been completed in the meantime. Trenches were excavated and wooden walls were erected between the fortresses and between the fortresses and the city. The city had all necessary supplies. There was a considerable number of troops in it, and the local people organized themselves into companies. We were all prepared and dedicated to defending the city until our dying breaths. It was a terrible clash. Certainly the greatest, fiercest and bloodiest in the history of Šibenik. At dawn, on the 25th of August, 1647, the Ottoman artillery bombardment and siege of the city began. after which the Ottomans charged. However, the brave people of Šibenik managed to repel them. The Ottomans withdrew to their starting positions in order to prepare a new attack. The main charge was attempted again by the Ottomans on the 8th of September 1647, when Baron von Degenfeld ordered his troops to exit the fortress and launch a counterattack. Parts of the Ottoman army began to retreat. The final blow for the Ottomans was delivered by the ships that arrived under the command of General Foscolon, who staged an additional attack from the sea. This defeat resulted in chaos and desertion in the Ottoman camp, and on the 16th of September 1647, Pasha Tekyeli abandoned the siege of the city and withdrew to nearby Dunnish with the remnants of his army. At that point, Baron von Degenfeld ordered all of the troops to kneel and, accompanied by the thunder of drums, convey their gratitude to God. The Kandyan War lasted with lesser or greater intensity for a full 4 years until 1669, but the Ottomans never again attempted to conquer Šibenik. The stone walls of this fortress forever serve as testimony to the fact that Šibenik, by vanquishing a superior force, secured its freedom.